G'day, my friends. Hey, if you're coming on the TV, maybe on the phone, iPad, got a really cool show for you. I'm running some trials here, testing some old videos that, well, from way back actually, when I was living down south in Australia, still down at a small town called North Haven in the southern part of Port Macquarie on the east coast of Australia. I had this like big long windrow worm farm thing going where I was learning. I'd been learning from Permy Pete at that time, putting it into action. And man, I tell you what, I grew some giant night crawlers like you wouldn't believe. Don't know if I've ever got them as big. I've come close. But anyway, check it out. It's going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, leave a comment down below. Check out the links in the description and also in the feed, because in the comments area, because you can go across and check out the Garden Creator Hub where there's heaps of worm farming content there. All right, let's get into it, shall we? I'm really excited about this
video for you. I'm going to show you around my worm farm windrow where I'm farming huge night crawlers. Man, they're getting big. So why do I have a windrow worm farm? Well, this is where I breed and feed a variety of compost worms with African night crawlers growing to a huge size. Yep, the night crawlers, they smash through this material and are ferocious eaters. This windrow is where I make my compost to sell to the locals. It's really popular and the plants that it grows is exceptional, to say the least. Often I get a visit from Mr. Pie, the one-eyed magpie, and the family, because they love getting some worms, and occasionally I give them one. Me and Mr. Pie are pretty good mates because he came to me just after he had an accident and had a really gammy eye, and he came good. So what type of worms do I have in my windrow? Well, I have mostly night crawlers, which are the European and the Africans, and I have tigers. Now, the night crawlers move through, up and down and through the deep parts of the profile, and the tigers seem to feed more on top, so I get the material worked over quite quickly. I live in a subtropical climate, so I can keep both types of night crawlers, but one usually does better than the other depending on the season. So the African night crawlers do really well in the warmer months, and the Euros do great in the winter time. Check this out, guys, when I hit the side of the pile with the fork, and have a look at the numbers just below the surface hanging on the edge of the windrow. Most of these that you're looking at here are giant night crawlers working through my compost and making my life much easier. Every day I'm learning by watching and observing these guys and just seeing what they're up to. And if you look closely, you'll see cocoons all through the profile. Most of the time it's covered with a recycled shade cloth, and this keeps the material nice and dark, locks in the moisture and helps it from drying out from the wind. It also makes it look much tidier because I have mine out in the street where the boat used to be. At one end of the windrow I have giant worm farms, which I call the biggest worm farms ever, and this is where I keep my stocks so I don't run out of worms. They do quite well in these big worm farms, and you can see just how fat and healthy this one is here. At the far end where I start my tiger worms are hanging out. They're feeding on sort of that rotting, decaying material hanging in the top layers, and about every 2 or 3 days I come and turn it over. You can see they really like getting into the coffee cardboard. There's a mixture of cocoa peat and some different manures and things in here, and they really do thrive in this end of the row. The night crawlers also really like this carbon fibrous material, and you often see them hanging out feeding on the edge of it. Now that's a pretty big compost worm, right? Now, have you ever seen one bigger than that? Let me know if you have down in the comments box down below. I reckon these guys are like goldfish. The more room they have to grow, the bigger they get. And maybe they just get a bit more time to live in a space like this before they end up getting harvested and out in someone's garden. This material looks pretty good to me, and I'm consistently finding worms on the edge of the cardboard. So I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing here. I think by the time spring comes, I'm going to have lots and lots of baby worms, and they're going to chew through that compost, and I'll have more product to sell for the customers. for my garden and for sale to the locals. This will get mixed into my front compost where the worms will start going a bit crazy on it, feeding on it as well, and it'll be curing more and picking up more biology in there from the worms and becoming more fertile. But one of the progress is to get these Aussie gardener gloves on, 10% off in the description if you want to get these. Work these really hard, they're great. I've been told by my wife, keep my fingernails nice and clean, so they've got to go on. And what we're going to do is just pile it right in. Now, the girls love being around it while I'm digging, so she's hanging around right here and getting a good look, aren't you, mate? One of them I've had to sort of lock away because they're just getting annoying, and they're probably getting upset because I'm here digging up stuff and they can't be part of it. So maybe I'll let them in.
All right, so you might be wondering what's going on here. Well, it's so hot. I'm cooking in here. I need to get the air conditioning's broken down. Anyway, we're running the show here, just bringing back some old videos. And, you know, the first windrow that you saw was around the side of the house. I don't know, maybe there was 3 to 4 cubes there. It was massive. And anyway, I was able to sort of scale up there and just learn a lot and sort of start practicing. And here you can see in the chicken house, so in the yard there, you can see I was starting to build like a run, and I was trying to do like a chicken tractor method. But what happened was the netting on the side, it was okay, but it kept on getting pushed out. It wasn't sort of strong enough and tight enough. I should have used a heavier wire running along there and really staked it into the ground. But we didn't know if we were going to keep the chicken coop there, so it just needed to be a quick makeshift. I also wanted to make good soil there because I knew that got a lot of sun there in the summer, so it was going to be a good gardening spot. So this is where I've got my tomatoes that just grew through now and just been all harvested. They got hammered by the big storm and stuff. But yeah, so these I'm harvesting this material to take out to the new compost out the front. And this was working quite well. It's just probably a little bit labor intensive. But anyway, let's keep moving forward and getting into this video.
Because I don't think they're going to run off. They're just going to go crazy on this stuff. So let's do that while I harvest this. They'll get an extra feed. That's the idea. Now this compost, because it's always having nitrogen laid into it from the girls, it's becoming what they want to call this new fad, of this new way of talking about things and saying it's activated, a bit like, you know, for cooking and activating seeds and different things to unlock the nutrients. Well, really, good old-fashioned organic gardening has always been about getting it right and just using the basics and understanding nature to grow the best food as possible. And look, mulch with chicken manure in it and the microbes and fungi all moving through it, worms and all that good stuff, you can't beat it. So I've got nearly a full barrow here, which is really, really great. And what I've got to do is I've got to actually take it back out to the front garden. And so this is where things are going to get a bit tricky because she's a bit heavy to carry and film at the same time. Thanks for all your chook pop, girl. So it's time to dump it onto this compost pile. Beautiful compost, this stuff, and start feeding it with this amazing chicken manure compost. Now, it's pretty simple. I'm stuck there for a second. pretty simple. All I do is just keep building the pile like that. And we build the pile so it's in such a way that it's like a pyramid shape. That way it gets oxygen all the way around it. And when you've got oxygen all the way around the pile, it performs much better. When you've got it sort of flat, you can't get the heat into it, especially when you're composting right at the start, and you don't have it cone shaped, it just doesn't perform as well. Speak to every good composter. They're even doing it in a long, like pyramid shape, which we call a windrow, or a round shape like this, and move it from one shape to the next and feed from the top. And if it's hot, turn it over every day when it's really hot, and about every third day after that. But at the moment, this is just really just compost that's being fed, and this stuff, it is just beautiful. It's a little bit warm actually at the moment because I'm putting this on top, which still has a bit of nitrogen that hasn't broken down just yet. So the worms are moving down, and as soon as it rains, it cools down, they'll move up into this system and start feeding in here again. And then I come through, I sift it all, I remove the worms, put them back into the big worm farm at the back, throw them to the corners of the pile, and keep recycling the system. I just keep feeding this pile. I take from the pile for the garden and to make bags of compost for the locals. So that's a part of my system here that I'm doing at Marty's garden.
All right, so I think it actually only plays, like won't play the full video. I don't know, maybe it's only so many gigabytes or megabytes or whatever allowed to play, but nearly did it all. So that was pretty good. I'll tell you what, I'm still really hot here, but I think everything's working really well. And hopefully on TV, it looks really good too. I'd love to know in the comments box what it looks like in the TV. And look, I've got lots of content like this and other stuff going on. We just did a live show over at the Hub this morning with some of the members, and that's been really great. It's really a lot of fun putting this together, and I'm just going to look for the next video now for you to roll out. So just stick with me 1 second and we will have it for you. I went to do the other one before, and it sort of like it went to the one video and then went back to the other one. So I just want to play some real ones just quick. Here's one for you. This is from the course. Actually,
Marty from Marty's Garden on YouTube, and I've got this tarp here. I don't want to use this on my compost at all. Reason being, look, it's pretty good. We'll discuss it later why I don't want to use it. What do I use? Yep.
Yeah, so there we go. I've got to remove myself, so it just played really quick. But yeah, I'm still getting used to it, but bit of fun here. Just remove myself from here. Watch this. It's about what to cover your compost with.
See right behind me here? I've got shade cloth. It's on my compost pile, and the reason I've got it in a couple of layers, and they only need really one sheet, but I've got 2 or 3 on top, and I'll explain a little bit more about that. Now, the great thing about shade cloth is it allows the air to get in, lots of oxygen, and when it rains and when you're watering and things like that, you can also get the good liquid in there, which nitrogen falls from the sky, from the rain, picks it up and gets into your compost, creates more of the cool microbes and stuff like that, and really gets it going along. Now, I use layers, a couple of them. The reason being, I have compost in mine, and compost worms in mine. They like to come between the layers in the dark spots, especially at night, and they want to come up and come down and feel like they're in more of a leaf litter sort of situation. So, I highly recommend that if you're going to do composting like I do with the worm farming on the side, that's the way to go. And why wouldn't I use this? The old trusty canvas tarp from Aussie Gardener. Well, this is a great product, but it's so good it doesn't let any water through, and it'll let air underneath if you shake it out and stuff like that. But get rid of this, get rid of the plastic tarp, go out and get yourself some shade cloth, buy it or hunt it down, even better, second hand, and you'll be doing yourself a favour and your compost.
So there you go. It doesn't do the whole, won't play the whole video for some reason. That's a bit odd, but we'll just remove that from there. And yeah, I thought it would play the whole thing, but anyway, never mind. I think it come through quite well, and it was a bit of fun. It looks like it'll only do the shorter ones, but you can actually go and watch those whole things, because parts of those are actually from they're like the, what do you call it? So I've created these courses in the hub, and they're like the, what do you call it? This is what happens when you go live. So they're like bonus videos that are going to be a part in the course for learning about composting and worm farming, which I'm putting together at the moment for the premium members. And look, if you're there, look, there's a link. There'll be a link in the description if you're watching the rerun, or also in the chat. And you can check it out, or you just go over to school.com and type in the Garden Creator Hub. And we come up now at we're nearly on the first page. We're on the first page for vegetable gardening, but we're nearly on the first page for, which is really exciting, for the term hobbies. We're actually at, I think you got to be, so there's 30, and I think we're at 34 or something like that. So 4 more or something, we're on the first page. I'm not exactly sure, but we're getting there. So anyway, let's find another video for you guys and see how much of that will play. I'll just sort of grab one from my file system here, and we will go for this one, The Secret to Windrow Worm Farm. This is another, so it was probably okay that it's actually playing the first parts.
This is composting day today, and we're getting,
because to give you some snippets of the bonus videos that are going to be in the course. Well, you can go and watch them now. The worm farming course, the free one's already rolled out, which is a whole lot of sort of videos from the channel that I've curated and put together, which will be getting better. And then also in the premium section is a full breakdown of everything, what to do right through from beginning to end. And when you start like composting like this, like I'm doing, you've got to have small worm farms. The reason why you have them is you've got to have a consistent supply. And so they're your backup for anything that ever goes wrong in your larger windrow systems, which is really important, because I have 4 or 5 going, and sometimes I might lose one and then lose the other and sort of go from there. So yeah, anyway, let's watch the video. I'll remove myself from
compost ready for our clients, doing some bagging and also preparing for the next pile. We've got this amazing windrow going. It's been going for a while now, and if you look in here, you can see lots and lots of worms, right? So we get them out and we save them, put them into this bucket here. Now have a look at this. Look at the size of those big night crawlers.
Whoa.
We've got all different varieties in here, red wrigglers, and we're saving those to go back in. And so what I do is, it's very primitive, but I really like doing it this way. I get to see everything that I'm doing, and I screen it, and it goes into this bucket here. And this gets mixed because I've got 3 lots of compost going in this pile, including some fresh mushroom, which you can see here, which is getting mixed into the blend. Now this here, come around, Karen. This is really heavy, and it's just everything mixed through from the other compost pile into the fresh stuff, making a new batch for the compost worms to go through and lay cocoons, put their fertility in there, their worm castings, etc., move the microbes around and create this pile here. So if you come over and have a look, let's have a look at this. Look at that big night crawler.
Wow.
So they if they're eating 1/3 of their weight every day, which you hope they are, I highly doubt it. I think they overly promote them, but if they're eating quite a lot, even 1/5, you could see that would be quite a lot of castings one day just from that. And then he's breeding and laying cocoons and making more compost worms in here. They get in the top part, and I've already sifted through. Look, there's another handful. So I'll just, what I do is I put that on top like a bigger pile. I go through it like that. I just pick them out. Some of them fall through,
And then, so I give it a bit of a shake. It doesn't hurt them. And then they fall through. We gather from the top again and get them out. We don't get them all. Some go off the customers. Cocoons go into the mix as well. Now have a look at this mix. I'll just show you.
So you're sifting a mixed compost to sell to the customers, is that right?
Yeah, correct. So I'll just show you the 3 different piles at the moment. So we pull these out. Now they don't all get out, as I said before. There's cocoons in here. You can see, I don't know if you can see that on the camera, that little yellow cocoon.
Yeah, you can see it.
They go through, that's in the compost as well, because we just can't get them all out, you know, like it's impossible to do that. Now I'm filthy dirty because it's been raining all week and it's so wet out here. Normally I'd wait till things dry out a bit, but see, now we've got our first orders since we come back from our trip overseas. We need to get them filled and I need to make this new pile. Now I'll give you an idea what's going on here. So this is where the big bucket at the end goes in at the end here. And this is wood chip. Look at this, look. Wood chip and chicken manure. And they're feeding on all that, the wood chip and the chicken manure, getting the carbon out, laying their cocoons in there. There's a nice structure in there, see? So it's sort of blocky, it's not too compacted, which means they can move through it freely. It's breaking down into a good compost and they can lay their cocoons and also drop castings into this system. Now, as you go over here, this pile slowly gets moved to the end here, which is more of an aged pile. And this gets mixed in. So this gets mixed into the blend and this has gone even further. So I could see cocoons in there just while I was looking through that. So yeah, that's what we're doing here today at Marty's garden. Now, if you want to do something similar, you can pick up mushroom compost, you can pick up wood chip, but what I do is I get like the tree blends from the street. So they've got leaves, bark, sticks, bigger pieces of branches and things. It's got all different sizes. There's a lot of energy stored in it from the sun. So as it's breaking.
Whew. That's okay. That's coming along all right, isn't it? A bit of fun here. And yeah, I'm using just some, it's called StreamYard software. I don't know how much longer if that was going to cut me off or not, but where I was at there, that's the front of my place now where I am in Mullumbimby. And that was taken, maybe 6 to 8 months ago. So my system's changed a bit. I'm always improving it. I'm getting it better and better. And I'm looking at, if I get some feedback, I might put some courses on actually doing some composting and compost business stuff down the line if people want that type of thing. But look, it is a lot of work, but it can be very rewarding because when you're making and selling compost, you actually have a lot that you can actually use at home. So I use all the second stuff. I actually sell the better stuff and keep the seconds for me. And I'm still growing a pretty good garden here, just using what I'm sort of like coming through at the end, sifting. So, but then I am actually composting it more on site around in the gardens as well. All right, let's go back to the part of this video. Let me know in the comments if you're enjoying it, and we'll keep on rolling on. Who knows how much longer it's
up, warming up the pile as I'm adding the chicken manure for the nitrogen, and that's keeping the worms warm in the winter as well. And eventually, as it's breaking down, we just keep moving it to one end and pull out our beautiful final product here. And today we're blending, so this is a percentage of this, because if I was to sell that, that would be $40 a bag pretty much. So I was paying for it 10, 12 years ago for worm cast like that. Now it's not 100% worm cast, but there's a lot in there. It's probably better than buying just worm cast alone because it's blended through and it's also fungal dominated. So we've got the mushroom over here, which is getting blended in.
To buy off Dad, buy compost of Dad.
Yeah, and also just to help people understand what's going on. Now the fresher stuff, because it's so dry, it's been so dry and then become wet, we can mix this through our blend, which is going over here. And that'll store moisture as well for the worms, so they've got more housing. So I don't want to be coming in here hosing all the time. We've got to lock in moisture so they can move up and down through that pile freely and be where they want to be. And when it starts raining, they come to the surface and feed more. And when it's dry, they go down deeper and hang down deep where it's nice and moist, or where they want to be, where the food is. So it's a quick breakdown on what we're doing here at Marty's garden right now. Obviously, we're going to use some of this in the back garden when we do our planting as well, which is coming up because we're planting a whole lot of leafy greens. So are you ready for that, Karen?
Yeah.
And
question, what was the key points of this video?
the key points, really,
The key points to the video. Good work, Karen. She hit me up with that one. I wasn't even ready. It wasn't planned at all. The key points to the video, really just, like, there's so many points around composting. I don't even know where to begin. There's just literally one after the other where we can keep learning about it. Even like I've been doing it for years and I'm still learning more and more and more. But one thing I do know is to make really the extra quality stuff. If you are able to put compost worms through finished compost at the end, or a compost that's lost its heat out of it, it just becomes something that's unexplainable. It just becomes next level. And once you get sort of, again, fungal dominated compost where it's coming out of the ground and moving into the systems, again, it's explosive stuff. And look, I can't keep up with my demand selling it. I sell as much as I can make. At the moment, I'm just on order only because it's too hot to go out there and make 20 bags in a row. I'll just make the order and then finish up. All right, let's go to another video. Let's have a look inside. And look, you haven't been over the hub yet, make sure you head over to the hub, and there'll be a link in the description there. And you can join in. We have 130 members now. There's lots of courses and different things in there. There's free stuff. There's premium stuff. Look, a lot of people just go with the free stuff and have a great time with that. But if you really want to take your gardening and composting, worm farming to the next level, then that is the way to go. Anyway, let's have a look at how to use compost.
Welcome inside. Rain all on my potted garden here. They're just doing
Well, that pops up so quick. Since I had it, I'm not even ready to get out of there. So sorry about that. Let's go and we'll put it in now.
I'm so happy about that. And the compost plays a big role when it rains. But we'll get into that because today it's all about how I use compost in the garden. I reckon you can learn plenty from this too. Start implementing some of these techniques that I use right here at Marty's garden. Today's going to be a really interesting video, I reckon. Actually, more than interesting, it's going to be super educational because compost, it's just amazing stuff. We all really need to be using it in our garden if we can. Now, today, as I drink this cup of tea with you all in my early morning, it's about 6:30 in the morning, I guess, and it's a blue sunny sky. Bit of rain last night. Gotta love that. Anyway, look, we're predicted to have a dry spring, maybe even a dry summer. So compost is going to play a huge role in my garden and other gardens around Australia, on the east coast especially, because it holds moisture. It holds the moisture, biology, feeds plants, and keeps the soil really, really happy. But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to break it down into all the different ways that I'm using compost in my garden here. And hopefully you can implement some of these tips and techniques at your place to get really good results too. Now I'm going to start with, I don't want to do this like a list video. We go number 1, number 2, but yep, this is number 1. The worm farms, right? So I use compost in my worm farms quite regularly, sometimes in the top level and the bottom level, second level, using what I call the Taj Mahal method. So if you want to know more about that, just type in Taj Mahal Worm Farm into YouTube and you can find more about that. And if I remember, I'll leave a link somewhere up around here as well. But yeah, just type it in, probably easier. So I put it all around the worm farms as well. Now, one of the arguments with underground worm farms, such as the sub pod and homemade ones, things like that, they talk about, and I've heard other YouTube gardeners talk about, is that the worms will only come out so far from the garden, from the underground system.
Well, actually, that is not true, because what happens is if you're using compost around the outside of these farms and using a good carbon such as, you know, bales and stuff like that in the garden, like bale gardening like I do, they come through and get into all that moisture, all that carbon, and move. And so essentially, if you've got a raised bed, that becomes almost one big giant worm farm with a central breeding station where they lay some cocoons, and the bigger ones move out into the garden bed, especially the night crawlers, and moving through and eating old roots and, you know, getting in and grabbing bits of carbon and moving all the biology around, dropping their beautiful castings, and just doing a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful job. So I recommend that you use it with your worm farming systems in the ground and also the above ground systems, because compost is number one in my opinion. Okay, number 2. Here we go. Number 2. Said it wouldn't be a list video, but it seems to be coming that way. We'll just keep rolling out because we'll just let the traffic go past. I've got to keep these videos going, right? I'm out in the front yard, so to speak. And it's, yeah, won't be too much traffic, I hope. Anyway, number 2. I use it in my potting mix. Now, something happened just recently where my big bad boy worm farm, yep, that piece of crap just exploded, all the sides fell apart, and we're doing some harvesting and all that. And anyway, I don't really mind. We harvested a lot of it and made a really awesome potting mix blend. So I sifted that. I added compost from the bay as well, and we also added some pine bark fines to it and some organic powders that have got different minerals and things in there and stuff for helping for flowering and all that stuff. So an awesome product, and we bagged and sold a few of those, and just stoked because that was a bit of a trial run, see if people wanted them. And yeah, with the worm castings, the aged compost in there, just brilliant. So if you can age some compost and sift it and put it into your potting mixes, way to go, way to go for sure. It really adds some life to your container gardening. Now if you can't and you live locally, come around and pick up some of my stuff, because it's got worm castings and, you know, we mix it all up. And being a horticulturist, pretty sure I know what I'm doing. Well, I shouldn't say I'm pretty sure, that's not a good sales technique, is it? I'm sure I know what I'm doing. I've done plenty of them before. And yeah, we're going to have so many here until eventually we find out a system where we can make a few more, but at the moment, limited stock for those. Number 3, spreading it around the garden, on top of the garden, is really important. You see, what we're doing is we're creating no-dig gardens. I'm going to get in the middle here for this, and we're feeding the top of the soil. So we're looking at I'm not going to say mantra. I'm making a lot of mistakes in this video today, but I'm just going to keep on rolling. You put it on top of the soil to feed the soil, not the plants. Get rid of the mindset of feeding the plants. Feed the soil in organic systems. When you feed the soil takes care of the plants, and the symbiogy from the ground to the sun to the leaves to the soil makes the plants grow like crazy and become more pest resistant and against disease and stuff like that. So feed the soil on top like a no-dig system, and then mulch. Make sure the mulch isn't too thick so the rain can get in when you water, and just continually keep feeding the soil like that. Feed with compost. All right, let's move back to the side so we can keep pulling up images to here. So when you start a compost system, you want to use some old compost that you can already get. So you come and buy some from someone like myself, or get some around the area that you know is a good quality organic compost. And then you add it to your compost that you're getting started. Throw all that biology in there. Get all those beneficial microbes in there. Get any good bacteria that's in that stuff into your system. This is what they do in biodynamics and things like that. They take and add. I wouldn't recommend so much going out and stealing stuff from the forest and things like that, but get some from a local, add some in, and then start feeding that compost. Just like I've got like the big bad boy here, wherever it is, feed that system and you will do absolutely brilliant. Now, other things you can do with it, such as like little hacks and stuff like that, you can throw it like a few handfuls in a bucket of water, stir it up. You can water your pot plants with it. That's a really good thing to do. Just be careful if you put it in a watering can, because it blocks up watering cans and stuff like that. But let it sit overnight and sort of seep through, and then you can use it on your plants just like that. Now, compost is super versatile. So if you've got sandy soils, it builds the soil up so it holds more moisture, and you can actually, like if you've got your first garden, you might want to dig it through a little bit and then just do the layering like I was talking about. So once you've done a bit of your first dig ever, you just need to throw on and feed the soil after that. Same with clay soils, it breaks it up, takes away the clugginess so it's all binding together and helps it become more friable, and that way you've got great drainage, great water storage, and your roots can move all throughout. Now, when you're working with compost yourself, make sure you keep a blocky structure in it. Don't get it too fine unless, when you're sifting and things like that, unless you're doing a seed raising mix, because the finer it is, the more compacted it becomes. Then people start adding sand to it. I don't like that. You know, like a lot of the landscaping places, they add sand to these soils and things, and you know, it's a really old method of doing. I don't like that system, but maybe it works for others. Doesn't really work for me, never has in the past. But keep your soil structure blocky, keep your compost blocky so the blocks sit on top of each other and the air can pass through and the water can come through and it doesn't get compacted. Also, what compost does is it stops soil from becoming hydrophobic. So if you've got a soil or a garden that's become compacted over time, the water's not getting in, check it and get a fork in there and dig it down and just move the roots around and see how compacted it is. If it is, loosen it up a little bit, loosen up around the plants, try not to disturb it too much, but you need to get air and oxygen and open up that soil profile or that garden bed, and then start feeding it with compost on top and watering it in. You see, when we put compost on top and we water it in and we create these layers and it rains, the water soaks into the compost, moves down through the soil profile or the pot, and then reaches the plant's roots, and the plant goes, "Thank you, Marty, for telling everyone this. I love you because you've made my life more valuable."
All right. Well, that one seemed to play already a bit better, and I had the transition from here to the video without skipping and going across. So thanks, guys, for sticking with me with that. What we'll do is we'll do a quick Q&A before I head off. Wanted to run that sort of thing and see how it worked. Look, it's not cheap running this type of software. It is quite expensive. So if you want to help me, you can do over at the Buy Me a Coffee /Marty's Garden. I didn't put the link in the description for this one, but yeah, if you go to Buy Me a Coffee /Marty's Garden, I'll leave that up for a while. Maybe we can keep the software rolling for a while and see if people like these type of things. Anyway, it's worth trying, and I'll pop it up again in a second, just while I'm waiting for people to come through with any questions that you may have. This one, definitely feed the soil. Yes, so important to feed the soil. And the birds were coming through, and Leon said this. Here we go. Hang on. Didn't know I could speak bird from Leon's home garden. Good on you, Leon. And got this. Yep. Speaking worm as well. And then I was asking if you could hear any of the background noise, and yeah, that's just in the video. I meant more like in the back of the house here. But it actually turns the audio off when it switches backwards and forwards. Thank goodness. So anyway, if you've got any questions regarding anything to do with the worm farming and composting, be glad to fire away and answer any of them. We always get some really cool questions. This is sort of a sporadic live show, really. Just sort of run some tests and see how it would go. As I said, it's not cheap to run this, so I don't know how much longer I will keep it going for. But hey, if we get some support over at the Buy Me a Coffee and maybe a couple of members over at the hub, then we'll keep that part rolling. Here we go. Let's go on here. Any tips on creating leach shape for the garden? Yeah, that's the stuff I'd usually keep for premium members, to be honest. So it's not something that I really share in here. I keep this sort of stuff to do with the harvesting of the worms, separating the worms, and also these types of liquids. Because, some of this stuff is very, very valuable. and you've got to keep some things up your sleeve, you know what I mean? So that's all. I just, for people that have paid for it in the past, I've got to sort of honor them as well. So I don't have anything for that at the moment. The only really sort of insight I can give you is you just need to think oxygen, 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 avoid anaerobic. Yeah, that's the whole thing. So yeah, you'll get that information when it's rolled out. It's sort of hidden in the content. You'll see it like there if you sort of dive through, but I'm going to make special sections on that. It's very important, and I'm lucky I've got inside information from professional worm farmers that have taught me, and also I can sort of, they're in that league of the mastermind, and I've got inside information to pull out of the mastermind. So very lucky for that. And Kalana, hey, Kalana Homestead, g'day, lovely to see you here. Awesome to see you here, welcome. And so yeah, if anyone's got any questions, like how I do it is I just make these big windrows out of a certain way that I make the compost, and then I let it cool down from heating up from the nitrogen, getting the seeds out of it and all that type of stuff, and then I run the worms through it. And in winter time, I keep certain parts hot, and so the worms will hang on the edges where it's nice and warm, and they keep warm through the winter. And I've got people overseas that actually have got places where it snows in the winter, and they've started using those methods, and it's been working for them, keeping their worms alive right through the whole season. So that is just awesome. I'm sure that someone must have a question. You might be holding back going, oh, I don't know if I want to answer that one. Maybe it's too easy, or it's too hard, or what will people think? But really, everyone, you know, we're all at different levels, beginner, intermediate, all the way to advanced. And the good thing about all types of, you know, parts of life to do with hobbies and these type of things, and gardening and organic gardening, is we just keep on learning. And, you know, I just keep on learning, and I just share what I learn over time. I've been in the organics industry for over 20 years now. I've been in and out a little bit here and there. I went to Thailand and taught surfing over there. I'm qualified surfing instructor as well. I was offered actually teach the Olympic team, the Thai Olympic team, before the Olympics was ready to go, but they didn't want to pay me freebie. So man can't live on air alone, right? But I think I probably should have took it. But anyway, you live and learn as you go, don't you? I could have ended up at the Olympics, which would be pretty amazing. Aussie surf coach teaching Thai Olympians. They're not very, you know, the surfing's very new over there, so we would have been just sort of scraping through, but we would have had a lot of fun. Let's go here. Hang on, wait. Here's a question here. In summer, should I take the lid off my bins and use the 30% shade cloth, or have Hessian sacks? No, because in the small worm farms, they just climb out. And so you've got to have systems where they would climb out and crawl into another compost area. So you just, in summer, you just get you get a couple of the bottles of water and stick them in the freezer. And real hot days, you just wrap them in cloth and put them on the top there to keep your worm farms cool, and obviously keep them out of the sun. You can open them up in the daytime for a little bit to let any heat out, but at night they'll come out in the dark and crawl out. So you just got to be a little bit careful with that. If you've got the tiered system like I teach, they will always go burrow down deep if it's hot as well to keep cool. So that's another way to do it. Great question. Thank you, Kayleen from Urban Homestead Artist. Kalana Homestead, any tips for sourcing materials for compost when you aren't producing enough green waste for your own property? What I normally do, I do a few different ways now, but I'd recommend, if the local arborist is always the best option to get it the cheapest if you've got a bit of time. I will teach this further probably in a separate place. I don't know if I'll put it into, I'm developing a brand, and so we might put some different courses in another brand spot. I don't know. I'm still working this all out. But wood chip is probably the arborist stuff from the local trees. And then if you can get coffee grounds, put that in there. That's the cheapest way to get started because it's high in nitrogen. And then as it's breaking down, you can then feed that coffee grounds to the worms as well, into the material. So yeah, great question. Have we got Leon's homegrown here? Leon, another member over at the hub. My little worm farm always seems hydrated. Should I flush it with water at times? Yeah, at least flush it especially when it's warm. Just don't do it in the real hot days when it's real hot, because when you flush it when it's real hot, it takes oxygen out of it. So do it early in the mornings, late at nights. Put it through 3 times, sort of thing, with some good rainwater, and then collect that and use it. And yeah, you could do it 3 times a week, no problem. I do it sometimes every day when it's hot, but you've got to have your worm farm working correctly to do that. And that's what I teach in my worm farming classes, because you want to get that free liquid, and you want to be able to use it freely. If you can use it every day through the summer, that's just brilliant. But sometimes you got to be careful with new farms. You don't want to flush them every day, but a system that's working really well, you can. So yeah, give it a flush, mate, in the evening or in the morning when it's not too hot. What have we got here? Also, your opinion on eucalyptus leaves in compost. I have so many of those, but have been told are not good and take a long time to break down. Look, if you add nitrogen to it, anything will break down like that. It's just because of they say that because of the eucalyptus oil in the leaves. It's actually very it holds a lot of energy, eucalyptus oil, because it burns, right? So I think it's okay. The one I stick away from is camphor. But I have broken down camphor and used that, and that's got a different type of oil that suppresses plants. So that's probably the one that I'd stay away from, unless you really, really know what you're doing there with that. I think I've run out of water. I do. So we're going to go for a couple more questions. Then I'm going to go and rehydrate myself. I'm going to look back and see how this played out as a trial. So yeah, thanks heaps for popping in and checking it out. If you haven't been over to the hub yet, there's going to be a link in the description, and I'll just put it up here so people can see it. If you just want to go and type it into your phone, it's better if you use the app. You get a better experience. And then you just type in, so you go to the school app, then you just type in the Garden Creator Hub, and it'll turn up there. You'll see a green logo, and people are really having a great time there. And some of the members here have popped in to say good day. We run live shows in there as also cohort courses. So we're doing the tomato and chili challenge at the moment, which is running from now into the summer, and going with the members to grow amazing food. But you don't only learn just about growing chilies and tomatoes. It's all based in together, and then it matches in with the worm farming stuff. So if you're doing the worm farming course as well, you can actually use all that worm farming material that you're learning, all the free stuff and free material that you're getting from your house, such as all your kitchen scraps and everything, feeding it back to your worms and compost system, and keeping it in closed loop to save money. And we all need to save a few bucks, that's for sure. So yeah, and you can also go here, Garden Creator Hub 3162 about. Sorry to be any confusion there. One's the about page, and the other one is the sort of shows you what's in there as well. So yeah, this has been a lot of fun. I'm just going to scroll down and see if I've any more questions here. Yeah, it is. It's a great community. Thank you very much. We're really enjoying it so far. We're sort of in beta 3 mode at the moment, so I've gone through the first 2 stages. The beta 3 mode is where I've applied. I'm trialing affiliate links for people, so members can come in and they can get 40% reoccurring revenue from people that upgrade into the premium, want to do the courses and the grow challenges and things like that. And you get paid monthly. So it's around about $10. I think about $10 Australian goes off to you every month per person, as long as they stay. And look, even YouTube doesn't put that out. They take 30%. When I was running my courses here in the members area, they take 30%. They're listening in to me now, conspiracy guys. They take 30% and giving me back the other. And it was clunky. It wasn't working properly. I couldn't chat to the members. I couldn't help people. So it wasn't working so well. So I've moved all that course, the Worm Wranglers course, into the hub, which is all about worm farming in steps by step, and also a seed raising course that also matches in with the worm farming stuff. And that's there as well. And it's all created step by step, everything to what is a seed, how does a seed work, how to plant a seed, what seed depth, what to add to water, what mixtures to use, how to sun harden it, how to get them ready. And then once they're done like that, you can also go and do something like the Garden Creator Challenge and use all that stuff that's in there and put it into, you wouldn't even need to really do the challenge, I guess, after doing all that, but you can come along on the journey with us. So, so yeah, I think that's a lot of fun. She says, I love there's no external platform distractions there. Yeah, no ads and all that, which is something that I really like as well. It's actually quite refreshing. And you don't get thrown content in front of you and just go, oh, I didn't pick that. I didn't choose that. You get to choose and follow you want. There's those options in there. And you can just come and go and do things as you please and meet people in there. And what's been really nice is people telling me that they're really enjoying the process of it all. So that's been really, really great. Anyway, I'm going to head off now. I'm going to watch, go and watch this on the TV, see how it come out myself. And yeah, I'll see you at the next video, and hopefully I'll see you over the hub. Remember, it's at the school, so school.com. And then if you go there or you do the app and just type in the Garden Creator Hub, and you'll see us there, man. We're growing every day. It's like, I think we got another 5 members today or something. So we might be at 135 now. Cool. All right. Bye for now, guys. See ya.